This short story was written by one of the most famous Korean writer, Hyang in 1925. The title is the name of the main character who is mute. The mute, Samryong. This story happened 14 or 15 years ago when I was about 10 years old. The story place is called Cheongipjeong, but the name changed, and it is called Yeonhwajong now. The village was named after Yeonhwajong Ridge, which has Ojeongpo and is located down the Namdaemun. The town has become a slum but used to be a place for the rich too. It was a small village with just more than 10 families. They had an orchard, grew vegetables in the fields, or grew bean sprouts in their houses for a living. The guy with an orchard was more prosperous than anyone else in the village. The villagers called him Osengwan. He was good looking, and his voice sounded like a cicada. He was a diligent middle-aged man. He always woke up at the same time. Then he checked out the stuff of his house. And then he walked around the village with his hands folded behind his back. He was like an alarm for the other people to get up every morning. If he didn't show up, something unusual happened to him. For example, he was sick, which happened once every 2 or 3 years. His family moved to the village not long ago. The villagers called him Yangbin because he always looked like a high-class man. He tried to be generous to the villagers. He gave out food to the people on the 12th month of the lunar year or lent tools for planting crops to people whenever they wanted. So the villagers liked him a lot. He had a servant, the mute, Samryong, who was short neck, and hair like a chestnut. Samryong was ugly looking and had a big mouth. He looked as if a slow toad stood and walked when he walked. The villagers never called him by his name. They called him mute or Engmo, but Samryong couldn't hear them calling. He was a servant to Asengwan. He was loyal, diligent, strong, and honest. Although he couldn't hear, he was wiser than other people. And he never made mistakes because he was careful with everything. After getting up in the morning, he swept the garden clean and fed cows and pigs. In summer, he removed weeds in his master's field and gathered and split firewood. In winter, he swept snow, did the errands for his master, and cared for house squires. So his master liked him. Whenever Samryong looked tired, he let him have a break. He also provided Samryong with enough food and clothes to wear. Osengwan had a child who was a third-generation only son. He was 17 years old but barely looked like he was 14. He acted like a baby. He was rude and violent. The villagers didn't like him. They said that he was a bastard, making his parents sad, and he shouldn't have been born. His mom complained that his father didn't punish him. Whenever she tried to discipline him, his father stopped her, saying their son was too young. He told her to wait until he became mature. Then his wife got angry and said, "He's 17 now and will turn 20 in only 3 years. Besides, he's going to get married and have his child soon. You are ruining him because you have been too good for him." Then, Osengwan would leave his wife so that he would not be engaged in an argument with her. The son disrespected Samryong so much that he used to punch him in the stomach or kick him in the ass just for fun. But Samryong never got hurt or angry because the son couldn't hit him strong enough. So he always smiled and tried to stay away from him. Some other time, the son put some shit in Samryong's mouth when he was taking a nap. Or he placed a burning fuse between Samryong's fingers and toes after tying his arms and legs during his sleep. Then he enjoyed watching Samryong being freaked out. Samryong felt sad not because of what the son did to him but because of his being mute. Then he got angry at the world. Samryong cried, but tears never flew. He was like a dog who never thought of leaving its master. He thought he was destined to work for his master until he died. Whatever the son of his master did to him, hitting or giving him a pinch, he just took it as it was. He never thought of it as unfair. However, being patient was challenging even for him. He could pay him back quickly because he knew he was stronger than him. But he didn't because the son of his master was also his master. Samryong always fought for his master's son. For example, when the son returned home crying after fighting with his friends, he angrily showed them how scary he could be to protect his master. Children were scared of Samryong, so the son of his master always looked for Samryong when he was in trouble. Samryong turned 23, but he still didn't know a girl. He was only teased by girls who called him mute with insulting hand signs. He was never given a chance to make a girlfriend. But obviously, he had a desire for a girl. Maybe he had a more profound desire for a girl than healthy men. But life was so tough that he had to relinquish the desire long ago. To be more exact, he was like an inactive volcano because the passion was still deep in him. If things worked together for him, it's just a matter of time to explode. But he didn't think he deserved to be treated equally because he was mute. He firmly believed that he had to work for his master and the family during his whole life. The son of his master got married in the fall of the year. His wife was 19, 2 years older than him. His master was looking for a girl from a distinguished family for his son because he was not from a high-class family. But that wasn't easy. Then, His master found a widow of a noble but going down family. She had one girl. The master liked her daughter, so he paid the widow money in return for the engagement of his son and her daughter. Then, he hurried their marriage before the widow changed her mind. His master spent 30,000 hyang on the marriage, and he gave the widow 2,500 hyang every month to cover the expense of needlework and laundry. His daughter-in-law was well educated until her father died, and she had a good personality. Some women in the village liked to talk about the master's son behind his back. If the girl is a white-naped crane, he is a crow. He's still too premature. I'm pretty sure that his wife controls him. She's too good to him. When they gathered, they liked to speak ill of him. One woman advised him on how to be a good husband. Now that you're grown up, you must be more responsible for your wife. The master's son didn't like them to talk about him because they thought he wasn't good enough for his wife. So he started to ignore them and never said hi when he bumped into them in the street. One of his uncles said the same to him. He was so stressed that he hated his wife rather than them because his wife was the reason why they were so negative about him. He thought, the bitch put me in trouble. He stopped sleeping with his wife only a few days after the marriage. His parents thought that he was wrong. So they talked him into getting back to his wife. Then he went crazy and turned violent, and one of his cousins got bleeding on her forehead, hit by stuff thrown by him. On the day when his father scolded him, he went to his wife and dragged her by the hair to the floor and shouted, "You bitch! Get off my face and go back to your home."